The 3 crew members that are getting ready to depart the station and end their 6.5-month mission are continuing with their departure preps, as we've seen some evidence of this morning. The last American astronaut to leave the station in a Soyuz spacecraft was the commander of the previous expedition, Expedition 42, and that's Barry Wilmore. He returned to Earth in March. Recently, my colleague Brandy Dean talked with Wilmore about the experience of completing a long-duration mission to the station and the ride home on a Soyuz.
Thanks so much for joining us, Butch. We really appreciate it.
Oh, sure. It's my pleasure.
All right. So I guess you've been back for a little while now.
Yeah, almost 3 months. Yes.
You feeling back to normal?
Oh, yeah. Oh, for many weeks, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, feeling great.
Did it take long?
You know, not for me. I guess everybody has a little bit of wobbliness, a little neurovestibular as you adjust to gravity. And for me, that was about 3 days. So I didn't have any wobbly after that. But certainly the body getting used to gravity. You know, I've got a bum knee, excuse me, that had to get used to gravity again. That took about a month. But overall, yeah, it came back pretty quick.
Okay. Well, I guess the lack of gravity was probably nice on your knee for a little while.
Oh, it was very nice, yes.
Well, so I guess Terry and Samantha and Anton are all starting to get ready to come home now. What kind of tasks are involved in that preparation?
Oh, there's quite a bit. I mean, obviously you've got to clean up your crew quarters. You want to have it nice and clean for the next person that's arriving. So that's a big part. That takes several hours. And then you've got a lot of multimedia stuff that you've acquired over the past 6 months or 7 months for them, and they're getting prepped to get all that stuff together. There's certainly some personal items that they let you bring back on the Soyuz. There's not a lot of room in the Soyuz, but there's some small things. You got to get those packed really tightly, really small, and that's the type of things that they're getting and going through right now. Yeah.
So I know that y'all train for all sorts of things when you're getting ready for a space flight. Is packing part of it? Do you train for that?
There's no direct training for that, but I think that's a little bit intuitive as we go through. You get a lot of packing training while you're on the ISS.
Okay. All right. Well, what kind of activities do they have in the very last few days as they're getting ready to actually get on board?
Yeah, there is some, like you said, there's a lot of the packing time, and that does take a little bit of time, but just generally getting everything in order as far as around their crew quarters, like I mentioned. There is some last things that you want to do that you haven't done maybe, or some last things that you want to do again, looking out the window, doing those type of things. You're still scheduled as well, so it's not like they're completely have free time. There's still items that has to be done on space station. They're part of the normal crew, so they're scheduled for those too.
Any particular special activities that you took part in, or memories that you have, or things you wish you'd had one more chance to do?
No, I think I got most of the things accomplished that I wanted to do. Actually, I thought I'd taken all the pictures I wanted to take, but that last week, it was another flurry of a bunch of things that I had that just came to mind. Some certain shots that included the entire cupola and those type of things that to bring those back and have those for the next several decades. So it's nice to have.
So have you had a chance to go through them at all?
I've gone through a large portion of them, not all of it, but certainly some of it. Yeah, and it's a wonderful thing to have those shots and those memories. It certainly is.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, what about the actual ride itself back to Earth? I hear it can be a little bit of a wild ride.
Let's see. I guess the most descriptive term I've ever heard was like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, and it is that and more. From the time you close the hatch, it's roughly 5.5 to 6 hours until you're on deck. So it's a bluster of activity, as you can imagine. Closing the hatch, like I said, and then you've got several, an hour and a half, 2 hours of downtime as you get ready for deorbit burn. But from deorbit burn all the way down to touchdown. I mean, there's deorbit burn, and the engine's firing. You can feel the G. You can hear things creaking. Then you've got separation where the BAO, the top portion, the round portion on top that comes apart, and of course the engine compartment separates, and those are dynamic evolutions with jarring. And I actually looked out the window. You could see the BAO kind of glistening red a little bit because we're starting to get into the heating areas. It was kind of floating away in the distance, kind of eerily, looking out the window. And then, of course, you get into the entry itself, and oh my, what a ride. I mean, it starts off with a little bit of shh. You can hear the wind as you're starting to get in the atmosphere, and then, of course, you start getting into the plasma, and you're literally, 17,000 miles an hour in a 3,000-degree fireball. And looking out the window and the plasma going by, and it's, you're shaking, and the G is building up. We got 4.4 Gs, I think was what we peaked out on for not the G itself, but as G rises and comes down, it's like 4.5, 5 minutes. Peaked out about a minute at 4.4, like I said. So that's dynamic as you're shaking, and then you get the parachute opening, and it's jarring, and literally you're flipping and flopping upside down, it seems like, and it's just really something else. And then, of course, on down, the seats cock up, little short
Okay.
observers on the back. They cock up about several thousand feet, so the dash is here, and then all of a sudden the dash is here, and it happens pretty quick. And then, of course, touchdown, the soft rocket engines fire, big blast, and I thought we had hit down at that point. At the end of that, it felt a little bit firmer, like we'd hit. And then we hit, and oh my! Yeah, literally, I've heard it said, and I agree. It's like getting in the back, hit in the back by a Mack truck, and
Really?
oh my! It was something else.
So March wasn't the first time that you've made the trip, but the first time on the
First time
Soyuz.
on Soyuz. Yeah. The Soyuz landing is much harder than a shuttle landing. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Were people able to like prepare you for it? Did you feel like you knew what to expect?
I did, by and large. I mean, the one thing, and the things that they said, okay, you want to, as soon as you hit down, you want to look out the window and see all the people, the helicopters landing, people scurrying over, and I did that. I looked out the windows right after we hit down, and nothing, because I didn't know it at the time. We'd landed in the ice fog.
Yeah.
So nothing, like for 10 minutes. Finally, we saw a vehicle, one of the all-terrain vehicles drive up, and then a helicopter land in the distance, and then, the games began at that point to get us out, so.
Do you get a chance to give the crew on orbit now any tips, or do you think they have all the tips?
Oh,
they
they've
need?
got all the tips. They'll be ready. But hey, it's a great ride, and they're going to enjoy all of it. Yeah, I heard somebody say that they'd go through the 6 months on orbit just to get the ride home. It's that
Do you agree?
exciting. Yeah, sure. Why
Yeah?
not?
All right.
It is pretty exciting.
Well, what is next for you? What else have you got coming up?
You're still in the debrief process, and even though it's been several months down the road, and you want to share the experience. That's the great thing about this. If you couldn't share it with anyone, it would not be as meaningful, I guess. So I'm in that period where I get to go out and share some of the things that took place and with those that want to hear it, and doing that now, and then back in the run of just supporting human spaceflight.
Sure.
We'll see what that entails as we go forward.
Should be something interesting, right?
It'll be interesting, absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate you talking with us.
Oh, absolutely, my pleasure.